Yo, welcome to the Shower Talk podcast. Got Fredo, Dylan.
Dill.
Well, I mean, I guess whatever you want. I guess at this point, huh?
Yeah. We'll keep it Dill.
Deal. Yeah, I like keep it short. It's not like we got a lot of time anyway.
Well, we got about maybe 2 hours.
Gosh, damn. I don't know about 2 hours.
We're gonna get into some interesting things, but I think it's time to reveal the big project that we've been working on.
For a fat minute, yeah.
It's been a couple months actually.
A while. Yeah. I didn't even think it's been that long though. But it kind of came together super quick.
I mean, it was for sure this year.
Yeah.
For sure this year, where we sat down.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it wasn't even a pod idea at first.
Yeah. It was
actually a Korean barbecue dinner date.
Yeah. And not just us two, please. That's weird.
Yeah.
All right. It's not just us two on a dinner date. Don't put us in that topic. We have wives, and obviously we double dated. We got together. One of us have kids, and I'm not that financially strong to support kids, so it's not me. Yeah, so
They're a blessing though.
Yeah.
The little one's a blessing.
The
little one's a blessing.
I thought that was a troublemaker.
It is. That's why it's a blessing.
It is, yeah, true.
The older one is an angel sent from heaven.
Is it?
To an extent.
Tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
But we started getting together, obviously, with the Korean barbecue. We started hanging out. And how kind of like to be able to explain why we kind of started the podcast, we started talking, and it's weird because we've known each other for forever.
Right.
And coincidentally,
since before we were married.
Before, both of us. I remember you two kind of just started dating, that type of thing. That's a long time ago already.
So it's been a minute since we've known each other, and forever.
I think our dads even further.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Like, both grew up in the church and the ministry and stuff like that, and I think they kind of like collided, and then eventually we got together. But I don't think ever in my life did I ever think, oh yeah, me and Fredo, we got to do something, or we'll hang out to this extent. Like, and you know what? Like, even our wives being the friends that they are, getting together, and uniting, kind of to me has been a blessing too. In the sense of, I've always prayed like, God, besides family, obviously, you want people to be there that are supportive in that manner, but you also need, I think, a sister that is able to support you in that sense, and especially when it comes to the church and stuff like that, right? In which I've always admired you and your wife, and so going to where we're at now, I guess like we started kind of linking up all of a sudden. I don't even remember why we even got together the first time to kind of just start talking again, because we didn't even talk for a while. It
was a couple of years actually.
Years, yeah, because I skipped out of the church for like 2-3 years.
And I've had my up and down, so it's been quite a roller coaster of a ride as far as being in the ministry and being in church per se.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been, I mean, what do I say, 5 years that because we used to do a lot of events together.
A lot, yeah. Our churches used to get together all the time.
Youth camps, things like that. And they were always a blessing. And I think when things happen in life, and unfortunately we're caused to kind of go our separate ways, but not necessarily intentionally. I think it's just life.
Yeah.
And then come to find out you're married.
Yeah. That came out of
no left field.
Yeah. I showed it. Oh, you know what? I remember going to, because you guys like were selling tacos.
Right.
And that was the first time you actually met my wife. And I was like, hey, you know what? This is my wife. And you guys were like, what?
Dylan, what's going on?
Honestly, I never thought that I'd settle down.
But that brought us, I mean, everything I think has a purpose and a reasoning behind it. Yeah. And I think where we're at sitting here today, and why we're bringing into this type of conversation, because I think it's important for a lot of this generation that's essentially growing with us, has grown with us, and are in the upcoming. Because we have a new generation already coming out.
Big time, yeah.
You have your Gen Z, your millennials, and then now, I mean, I don't know what the next generation is going to get called, but
what goes after Z?
I don't know.
Now I know my ABCs, so it's now, Gen Now.
For real.
Yeah, that's what it is, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm calling it now, so I want my copyrights
But
for sure.
But it's bringing us into this project, to this message, because you might ask, why did we call it Shower Talk?
Yeah, it's a weird title. I'm not gonna lie, Shower Talk. And the funny thing is because again, we didn't even come up to like, hey, dude, let's link up to be able to do a podcast. We came together because we wanted, and it's crazy because when I like started bringing it up, you then said the same thing. And I was in prayer saying, God, like, I love my family and I want, people around me and my wife that are going to help us expand the kingdom, expand his culture, expand us as individuals and in marriage, because we have to keep growing. We have to keep going, not just for us as individuals, but to be able to ensure that everybody around us is being filled too. And I felt like I needed, I don't know, maybe like a push. I don't know if that's what the best way to put it.
I think it was. I've been wanting to start a podcast. I don't know, for the longest, honestly.
Yeah.
Just didn't know exactly what type of message I was trying to get across with. I didn't want to just fall along the lines of the what society is kind of opening up after COVID. Everything started going as far as a podcast is, podcast that. Even in culture today, you have well-known podcasts out there that
crazy
have gone crazy.
It's everywhere now,
right?
Yeah.
But I think our message behind all this has to be the current standards as to like what the current church is going through.
Yeah.
And like a generation that wants to express themselves, but because of this society that we're in today, they felt like they can't express themselves.
Yeah.
And I think where we're sitting here today, that's the biggest message of bringing outside culture and outside society that's currently interrupting with the church and kind of meshing together. And I think that's why we created Shower Talk. And it's crazy about it is that, we both love to eat. That's facts.
All right, relax, bro.
That's
crazy. Yeah, you're not wrong though. You don't get built this way for
exactly.
Eating
gains.
Kellogg cereal.
So I think it started right. It started with a thought. It went into a vision, and I think what's crazy is that you texted me overnight, telling me about something similar to this.
Yeah.
I was actually I had gotten up really early in the morning, about 4 a.m. And I had to study for preaching. I had a preach that I had to get to.
But 4 a.m. to start studying?
Yeah.
You have 24 hours in a day. You say 4 a.m.?
That's when you're most sensitive to God.
Let's be honest. Your wife gets up around 12 and the other kids. So you were like, you know what? I got to get up extra early, a whole shift early. Just to not be with them.
Right.
Yeah.
It's quiet. House is empty. Dogs are asleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Solidarity.
Put on the maxes on.
Yeah.
Bust the music up, and then you have your alone time. That's how I do it.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes when I gotta look for a little coffee, but
yeah.
Typically I kind of go, just empty stomach, start learning the word.
I go crank up AC, lay down under the fan in my underwear, and I start worshiping.
That's crazy.
But that's real though.
David used to do it.
Hey, if he ran basically butt naked through the streets,
yeah,
I think in my room, God is gonna be in the presence.
Well, Shower Talk.
Yeah, let's talk about why we came up with it.
Yep.
And it's crazy because we kind of started coming up over, and we started talking, and we decided, you know what? Why don't we do a podcast? And we kind of just threw it together and like. I guess in one sitting, but one of our coffee sittings is like 5 hours, and
on a Sunday. On a Sunday, when we have
to work the next day.
When we have to work the next day, when you have church at 2 p.m.
Yeah, from 2 to 5.
2 to 5, and then but you're here earlier than that, right?
Yeah, because we have Bible study at 1.
Yeah. See, I have service at 5, so. Our coffee talks are more of the longs of 5 hours that we get together at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And we kind of go into crunch time.
Yeah, forever. Yeah. And we started talking and we started throwing out like ideas, concepts, and like we started coming up with like names. And to me, like we started talking, we were like, well, what's the point of the podcast, right? And I think one thing that the church needs, and this is what we discussed, is we need realness, genuineness, and I think we try to portray, or we allow the world to be able to mix into the church, and that's where the fake and like there's no real authenticity. And so me and you started talking, and we started talking about how it's, and this is weird, but I thought I was the only person that did this, but I worship in the shower. And I thought I'd never say this out loud, and then much less to the entire internet, right? So I'll be worshiping in the shower, and I'm turning on some Marcos Witt, I'm turning on some I don't know what Maverick City Musica,
Yeah.
I'm putting something on, and I start praying. And the thing is because when you start crying in the shower, you can't even tell which are tears or what is shampoo at that point, right?
Facts.
So we started talking about how we both do that. We both worship in the shower.
Right.
And that's not even like just why we call the shower talk, but it's because we realize that for us, I think in the shower, what's our most vulnerable point in time? That's when we're in the shower. You're butt naked. Somebody tries to rob your house and you're in the shower. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
Like you ain't going to do nothing, And in that case, I'm thinking, okay, if any time that I'm speaking to God, I'm praying or whatever it is, I want to be at my most vulnerable point or the part where I'm just like completely like surrendered. Oh, that's good. And that's where I'm at when I'm in the shower. Because what am I going to hide there?
Right.
I can't hide nothing. And so I think that's where the concept came up, and we just said, why not shower talk? Like, let's call it shower talk. And we all kind of just did this like little look at each other. We're like, that's weird.
It.
But that's it, bro. That's it. And
come to find out, we were speaking with our wives and we were having breakfast actually.
Yeah. We eat a lot.
We do.
All of our meetups, we're gonna eat tonight.
Exactly.
It's just it's God's plan. And insert Drake, huh?
For real. But coming back to that, I fall along the same lines of the shower. When I have to preach, I prepare my message. I have everything down. I save my biggest points in my head. And then when I'm in the shower, I'm practicing, developing. What am I going to say? What am I going to? How am I? How am I
in the shower?
Yeah. Man. How am I going to express myself? And we have a little Bluetooth speaker in our bathroom.
Yeah.
Turn up the shower. And just praise, worship, listen.
Yeah.
Vulnerability, and I think that's what the Bible shows us day after day, and story after story, that Jesus at his most vulnerable spot, he felt alone. He felt like the Father had left him.
Why have you forsaken me?
Exactly.
Tough.
Right.
Yeah.
And come to find out, that's exactly where God wants us.
Heck yeah.
Feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because his grace and his power can't be revealed if we're doing what God's intentions are. Meaning, if we take God out of the picture and we put ourselves in God's position, how are we supposed to see the wonders and the miracles that God does in our lives? And vulnerability, I think, in the church today is something that it lacks.
Call out churches. I'm about to drop names right now.
Because you portray an image. We try to portray an image that essentially leads us nowhere.
Yeah.
We come in through two doors, walk out through two doors the exact same way.
Yeah.
I said this to the church one time. There's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
Typically, churches have 2 weeks, two services a week. I'm sorry, 2 weeks, 2 services a week.
Yeah.
You times that times 52.
Yeah.
What does that give you? 100 and what? 104.
Yeah.
104 messages.
Quick math.
104 messages to be able to transform your life. And some of us don't even take a fraction of that.
True.
They take what's good, they polish out the rest.
Done.
And discard what is actually needed in our lives.
Hello.
You know?
I wish we had an audience right now.
For real. Because, I mean, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
You don't understand God's plans. I don't understand God's plans. Mm-hmm. I'm still not understanding God's plans.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, his word is faithful and it's true.
Yeah.
That if he said that he's going to be there, he's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how hard it is.
Yep.
And that's why I think we came with this concept of vulnerability, of authenticity, of empathy.
Yeah.
Because also is another thing that the church lacks today, empathy. We can't say, the Bible says, if your brother is hungry, make sure you feed him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. If he's thirsty, make sure you give him something to drink.
But if I'll be honest, if I see a brother as big as you and you're hungry, I don't.
I mean, it's gonna take. It's. They say that a gallon is necessary a day.
Yeah.
It takes
drinking
a
2-liter of soda. Yeah.
Facts. Right now, facts. Yeah. I'm gonna jump in there, but I think my trainer wouldn't be too happy right now to see me like this, but you know what?
Yeah, we're going through the podcast
but we're going through a transition, trying to balance out life, and I think trying to balance out this project with the number of projects that we have going on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's hard.
It's a lot,
and for this to come to life, last night we were here till 1 a.m.
Literally.
And it looks like a beautiful set. Everybody did a good job, Our producer did a good job setting up the stage and everything and what it took to get to here, And yesterday we had just as much trials just to get here and paint 2 walls.
100%.
And I think there's a reasoning behind it. There's a purpose behind it. And it's not like we're trying to get lucrative off the podcast, because our main focus is to reach an audience of believers who are screaming for help.
Yeah. And even those people that don't recognize their condition and situation, because I think a large portion of the church thinks, oh, I'm saved.
Right.
I'm good. I don't even need it. Like, I don't need help. And one thing that I was told one time that I think kind of sticks to me and really sticks to salvation is, you don't need a parachute to jump out of a plane, but it sure does help. And that's the church. You don't need the church to be in worship for God. You don't need to come here. This is a building. But what you do need is to be in constant seek for him, in constant praise and worship and fellowship. Jesus had 12 disciples. He had to build a gang around himself.
And he's still plugging place pieces in there. Mm-hmm. Because you might think that your first project is the one that's gonna, come to life, and essentially you have to plug in and remove pieces here and there.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus did.
Yeah.
Stephen took the place of Judas.
Mm-hmm. I was literally about to say that.
And Stephen didn't even last that long after he was selected.
Amen.
But because of Stephen came Paul.
That's crazy. And we know what Paul did.
One of my favorite disciples.
Yeah, probably my favorite. Besides maybe Peter, in my opinion. That's just, I think maybe just because I kind of like link up to Peter a lot, Yeah.
I relate myself a lot to Paul.
Do you?
I do. Because for a minute in my life, I was not necessarily persecuting, but persecuting with my thoughts, with my opinions.
The church?
Yeah. There was a lot of things that I thought was so religious. And I just didn't find it right, And persecution is not necessarily you're chasing people or things like that, but you're chasing a thought. You're chasing an image that it's not true. And I think right now Paul, the how I view Paul and the things that he had to go to.
Yeah.
And all these disciples always carry somebody. You notice they were never by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Always carried help.
Mm-hmm.
Twos. They worked in twos.
Heck yeah.
We're here with twos.
100%. I mean, besides the producer in the background.
Yeah.
You know. But we don't gotta mention him, I guess. Yeah. He gets paid on the side.
Yeah.
You know?
He gets a little shy.
Yeah.
But you know, it's great to officially start this.
So good.
To officially be able to launch it. And it might take a couple of episodes to get it out to the public. But I think what we're doing is trying to build something that's going to have longevity.
Yeah.
You know, something that's going to flourish. And essentially, we're thinking in the projects, you know, bringing in our wives, having talks with them, and how it is to have a marriage in the ministry, having a marriage solidify on God being center.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's also in the works as far as projects goes, but you know, it's an outcome that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And it starts somewhere, and I think it's starting today, and it's going to be something that we're going to try to push out every 2 weeks at least.
Yeah.
You know,
an episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I remember, and this is me being honest, and I don't think I ever told you, but I told my wife, like, I don't plan on linking up with Fredo for this podcast unless we're both on the same mindset, if we're both in the same spirit, and God is truly calling us to this. Because otherwise, it's a waste of time, for real.
Right.
In the sense of, like, because we're not going to get anywhere with it. To me, again, in my heart, this podcast means nothing about, like, trying to get, you know, millions of followers or anything like that and try to make funds and, you know, get, you know, 80 sponsors or anything like that. Like, that's not the purpose of it. If anything, we've lost money so far, you know?
That's facts.
We keep joking around about a business credit card and we're in the negatives.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me is, regardless of the amount that we've spent, I think the fact that we're doing what God has called us to do. Like, for me, I've been ministered to be able to speak, to be able to go out and speak to a new generation. And I've always thought about, like, what is it that he wants from me? Like, from, like, where or how, you know? Because right now I lead with the youth at my church. And I've always wondered, like, what else does he want from me? And in my heart, I've always had the desire to do something on, like, social media based.
Yeah.
I guess kind of every young person now wants it. You know, everybody wants to be streaming, playing video games and stuff like that. I'll drop my Twitch handle on the bottom in the description. But no, yeah, like, I think I've always wanted that. I always wanted to be a YouTuber for some odd reason, right? But part of me always wanted to be able to somehow bring, you know, the word in some way, shape, or form. Because shout out 116, you know, I'm not ashamed. And we shouldn't be. And I think that's what we're trying to bring out with the vulnerability and genuineness, is a new generation that feels that way. Because it's not about us, and it's not about what we feel or how we're going to do. It's just, I'm here to do God's will. Yep. I'm here to be able to do what he called me to do. Even if I'm not in front of an audience right now. Even if this, and I prayed about this, and I'm like, God, if this somehow podcast only reaches one person that gets saved, the amount of funds that we spent, the amount of time and hours we've spent doing this, to me, that was enough for that person.
I work in the you can say real estate field.
Yeah.
And working with investors and owners and the amount of money that they spend, right?
Yeah.
And these investors, they drop thousands of dollars, right, on a single event.
Yeah.
To be able to just obtain one rental, one sale.
Yeah.
And their main focus is just one. I mean, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, it's great. But all they're trying to achieve, one. You know, and I think what we're doing here today, and if we're able to, let's rephrase that. Once we're able to reach, and if we're talking to those that have left the church because they've been hurt, if we're able to reach those who left the church because of difference of opinions, I think it's something that it needs to be brought into light. It needs to be brought out to where people are able to talk about it without having repercussions or feeling that they're going to be cast away by the church. Yeah. And I think with this being the message and the outcome of what we're doing, I said to my wife as well too, like I've been like, and I told our producer, because I've been in talks with our producer for like the longest about this. Yeah. He told me like, what are you trying to do? Like, you trying to do something like small plane? What are you trying to do? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, but it's a thought. Yeah. And for him to also be in coalition with us, opening up his time, opening up his agenda with us, and once you send me that message in the night, and me reading it, and I was like, this is it.
That's it. Yeah.
This is it, because I'm a person that doesn't move unless there's a sign. Yeah. Or there's a calling,
or a bulldozer, right?
Right.
Nobody can pick you up. Yeah.
That something has to happen for me to move. Yeah. And I've always seen it like that. I don't move without myself moving just by my own, because I've done it in the past, and unfortunately it has led me to
debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Debt.
A receding hairline. I see it.
Yeah. And we joke around with all this stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it's true, you know 100%, what I mean? 100%. A messed up haircut because you couldn't wait, for your barber.
100%. Feel guilty every time.
Your car being stranded because you weren't informed as to like what your car that you're buying is entitled.
And you literally went through this just to get here. Yeah.
And then it's crazy the amount.
Your check getting messed up.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, just to come to today.
Temptation.
Just to come to today.
Hey, we're here though.
And that's exactly where we're at.
Yeah.
Exactly where we're standing here. We're not standing here, but we're sitting down. We're in a comfortable position.
Heck yeah.
To get uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point is, I know that this episode is really kind of just like our introduction or introductory episode or whatever. And we're not touching too much on anything, mainly just us, because we want you guys to know, like,
understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, who we are, to kind of like get a feel for us, because this isn't just, and this is something that I truly believe, this isn't just for you, but the people around you too.
Right, and it's coming from within the background of the church. Yeah, myself being a PK.
Yeah,
you too. Yourself being a PK.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, pastor's kid.
Yeah. And then you be marrying into a pastoral family. And you know what I mean?
My church closed down years ago, and that's kind of where I fell out of church. And, God has other plans, because even when I left church, the person I ended up marrying is now my father-in-law is the pastor at this church. So regardless, I'm stuck here, like God had, he says otherwise.
And it's not crazy anymore. I keep saying crazy, but it's not, because we have a calling. Yeah. Your calling leads you to your purpose. Yeah. But your purpose is determined by the trials that you go through on a day-to-day basis.
Heck yeah.
Because God's going to bring you back to your calling. Yeah. God's purpose is always going to be faithful. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be exactly what you need to encounter. Yeah. Meaning, if you left the church and you think that your time in within God, and when we say the church, we mean God. Yeah. Let's just
I got you.
Right? And when we come back to the ways of the Father, that's when exactly you start to understand and grasp the plans and the purpose that God has for your life. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's called.
Everybody.
But few are chosen.
And not everybody tries to fulfill their purpose either.
Right.
A lot of us. That's why, there's that parable in the Bible where he's like the king and the three his three like workers or whatever, right? And they each have the same bag of coin, but who's able to multiply? And I kind of feel like part of this is to be able to help strengthen the church. Like that's the purpose of this. One, for you to find God, for you to find yourself in Him and Him in you. And then how do you start strengthening yourself and finding yourself? Again, we keep saying genuineness and vulnerability. Both of those are needed for God to be able to move completely in you and around you. Like, it's not just about you either. It's like those around you. Because if you're so selfish, honestly, with God's presence, and you're so selfish with it's just all about me and keeping God to me,
then you're gonna fall along the lines where God clearly says in His book that you might have cast out demons in my name. You said, Father, and use Jesus' name and use God's name, but at the end of the day, when everything's set in stone, God's gonna say,
"Who are you?
Who are you?
I don't know you."
Facts.
I'm gonna call you a bum.
Facts.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're here to be who God intended us to portray on behalf of Jesus.
Yeah.
Obviously, we ain't gonna be perfect. Let's just make that clear.
Brother, I made mistakes today. Yeah.
I make mistakes every day.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes, but at the end, we're here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that purpose is to open the eyes of the current church.
Yeah.
Heal those who left the church.
Mm-hmm.
And try to restore the ones who are screaming for help.
Yeah.
And I think vulnerability, obedience, I mean, we can name them all.
Yeah. And for those of us that have this like cold heart, a heart of stone, where you're just like unaccepting of His word, unaccepting of, again, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of us have ended up in pain and hurt and suffering due to people in the church.
Right.
And I think this podcast is also to be able to help people come back to Him, and I think like, there's a saying like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Right. And, I've heard people say that about the church. Like, if one's a liar, bro, they're all liars. But there's so many different apple orchards. You know how many different farmers there are? You think just because that one person, it's not the same farm, baby.
And not every apple grows the same.
I personally, I like a green apple.
Same.
You like green apples?
Yes.
Yeah, they're nice.
A little acidic.
That's
the best part.
Yeah, I like it.
Because when you're a little acidic, it makes you uncomfortable sometimes.
Hello.
Because you don't know if you like it or not.
Yeah.
And you just keep on eating it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You want that acid reflux at the end of the night. Yeah.
But it also clears your palate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It clears your palate. Mm-hmm. And to me, when we're uncomfortable, it's when we grow. Yeah. When we're uncomfortable, it really makes us show who exactly we are. Because behind this, to the camera, we can portray to be
these huge men of God.
Exactly. Disciples and prophets and apostles of the living God. But realistically, I sin. Yeah. I fall. Yeah. I dust myself off. Yeah. And I get back right up. Mm-hmm. We're two grown men. Let's make that clear. Yeah. Right. We're almost hitting that 30 mark, which is crazy. Yeah. I am, yeah.
I guess I'm close too, but
it's about a year from there. You got 5 years. It's crazy though. The age difference too, and to be able to connect, right, with the experiences, with what we're living on, what we're going through on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. And to me, there's no age when it comes to His ministry.
No, dude, no way.
Because I think, and I heard this in a preaching, and the preacher said, if God didn't need you, if you're 86 years old and God didn't need you, he would have you literally with him, meaning you wouldn't be here on earth. Mm-hmm. But if you're still here on earth, there's a purpose to still obtain, even if you're 86 years old, even if you're 90 years old. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And us, that we still have the ability to speak and the platform that we're in to speak and the experiences that we have to be able to speak. Because I can't sit here today and talk about a podcast that we're just going to be vulnerable and be uncomfortable without living those exact same circumstances. Yeah. Being uncomfortable, being in debt, being broke. You feel me?
Yeah. Not well.
You know what I mean? Dealing with temptations of today. Yeah. You know, dealing with the mental battles, the mental exhaustion, you can say the depression, you can say anxiety. You know what I mean? Dealing with everything, like not being able to sleep. Yeah. I got 2 girls, I got a wife. How am I going to be able to be able to bring something to them that the next day?
And let's be real, your wife that's another child you got to take care of now.
Tell me about it. You know what I'm saying?
God may give you all his strength.
I have 2 girls, but I think I have 4.
Gosh.
You know, I have two young daughters. Yeah. Really young. Yeah. You know, toddler and you can say first grader. Yeah, first grader. I have a dog that's a girl too. Yeah. Damn. And I have a wife.
This is why you want to hang out all the time. You need some masculinity.
Yeah. But you know, but it's allowing me to grow in patience.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
100%. You know, being patient.
Yeah. Yeah. I know every time you say you want to hang out, and I always ask you too, are you going to take Liz? Are you going to take Liz? Or are you going to bring your daughters? Because if you do, I'm going to make sure I'm in fasting and prayer before we get there.
Yo, and my little one last night, we were painting it, but she was going crazy. Yeah. I don't know what she was on. Yeah. It wasn't the Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Yeah, Adderall, I think.
She was going nuts.
Yeah. Wild.
Right? Yeah. Rolling on the ground, rolling on the carpet. Beautiful rug, though. Beautiful rug, just want to say. I think we did a great job on the setup.
I think it's pretty good, yeah.
You know? Yeah. You know, the logo up on top, the lights. I think it kind of...
Shout out the producer, bro. Can we shout out? And then for those of us that, you know, you want a name for him, I just thought about this right now. You know, produce. I'm going to call him Sprouts. You know? Facts. There we go. I'm going to call him Sprouts. How do you like that? You like that? Yeah. He's laughing.
He's Kirk Cousins mean that now. You like that? You like that?
You like that?
Yeah. But, you know, it's we're getting into, I think, you know, it's I can't even speak right now.
Well, you contemplate on that, but real quick, I think there's gonna be, for me, part of this podcast is obviously we're gonna have topics on like church and whatnot, and obviously everything is gonna be Bible based because that's what it is. You know, we're Bible based, right? And but we want to bring the culture.
Society.
Yeah, we're tying it in.
We're gonna do video reacts.
We're not mixing in the world with the church.
We're just living in the world that we're not from the world.
100%. We're bringing kingdom culture down to earth. Yep. And so we're gonna be doing that, but also kind of just be me and you. And we're honestly, let's be honest. Like sometimes when we get together, we're as dumb as one can be.
Yeah, that's facts.
And we just like to joke around, have a good time, and just like laugh as much as possible.
I think I'm going to have to get a new backpack, though. I was kind of clowned on when I walked in here with the backpack. But.
Yeah, you already said you looked broke and stuff like that.
Yeah, I look busted.
Those are part of your trials and tribulations, and that backpack definitely shows, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy because I just bought it 2 weeks ago.
And it's 2 kids and a dog.
You know, it's crazy. Yeah. I don't have any gray hairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had facial hair, maybe you'd have one.
That's facts. Yeah, I have like a brown little string of hair, which, you know, I think that's where my little one got her hair from.
Yeah, somehow your chin is balding. I don't even know how that's possible.
You know what?
I've never.
We're applying some oils, you know, we're trying to apply some oils to make it grow. I've been at it for 3-4 years and it just doesn't grow, man. You know, oh my God. It's crazy. No, you know, but I'm not a hairy person. I mean, I wish I was gifted like you with
gifted.
Look at that beard.
I've been getting haircuts since the womb. You know, like I came out and immediately got a fade. You know, like that's how much hair I was born with.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
everywhere too.
I personally like a good haircut, you know.
I love haircuts.
Shout out to the barber, you know.
Yeah, I'm a tag and put them in the description too for everybody that lives in Arizona.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we're at, Arizona too.
Yes.
And natives too.
Born and raised.
Yeah, not anything that we should be proud of, I guess, because there's literally nothing.
It's too hot to be repping AC, but I mean, it is.
It is, and none of our teams are good either.
Wait.
They also.
The
Suns.
I'm a D-backs fan.
As am I. You know, obviously.
I love a good baseball game. Arizona. I'm not a Cardinals fan. That's just get that clear out of the way.
Not even Cardinal fans.
Yeah. That's when
I've
they're
seen
good.
so many hop off. You know, the wagon immediately. Yeah.
But you know, it's good to get to know us.
Yeah.
Get to know who we are, where we're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, we don't come to the same. We're not in the same church. No. We have two different churches.
Yeah.
Which I think we experience almost the same type of related issues.
Yeah, like almost
identical.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it just shows you that the day and age that we live in today.
Yeah.
You know, the church that we live in today, a lot of them have that same mentality.
Mm-hmm. And
that's what's dangerous.
Yeah. We got to break the curse, man.
I was looking up some statistics, you know, just giving a kind of since 2014. This is worldly statistics. I'm not going to quote them. I just read them. It has declined actually by 13%.
What has?
The people who have left the church. Since 2014, 13% have left the church.
That's crazy. And
how many churches out in Arizona? I don't even know.
How many closed down after COVID?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them.
You know, and I think it's an unfortunate situation.
It is.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah, 100%.
Helping.
And you know what? I think I read a statistic back then too. Says something along the lines of, I think the amount of pastor kids that leave the church is anywhere from 50 to 70%.
Damn, that's crazy.
50 to 70%.
It's crazy.
And what's your calling? You think these people don't have a calling? And I think that, again, going back, is the purpose of this is for us to be able to, again, strengthen and fortify ourselves.
And to connect.
Let's connect, man. Yeah, for real. Like, we got to try to, we're going to be posting this all over social media, Instagram, TikTok.
We're going to have, I think we have all platforms, am I right? We have.
Routes, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. He said, yeah.
Spotify, yeah. Apple Podcast,
Music, yeah.
Apple Podcast,
Apple Podcast,
yeah,
right?
Apple Podcast.
I mean, if you guys want me to sing, I can.
You know,
I can. I'll rap, dude.
It's crazy.
I'll rap a message.
I can't sing. I can't hold the rhythm. I can't. You know what I'm saying? I'm just good.
You're literally a drummer.
Yeah, I'm a drummer with no rhythm. With no rhythm. But you know what? I do it for the honor and glory of God. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I'm starting to learn. Band, I'd be upset for sure.
You know, my wife, she's a lead singer, and I think
she's all right. She's learned. That good, honestly,
she's learned how to deal with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes she gives me those gestures of like, speed it up. You know what I mean?
But who is she to be calling you out like that? That's my question.
It's my wife, man.
I thought she had to be submissive.
They have to be.
She be telling you on stage?
You know, I do it to.
I'm just gonna have a meeting with you and your pastor. Which is your dad, I guess.
Yeah. You know, how can I say? You know what I mean? But I think we're put into a position now where like my voice is heard, and to me, you know, that's something that I'm kind of proud of, being able to connect with 2 or 3 generations within my church. We have those that are in senior leaderships. Being in charge of that senior leadership, and then also having the young generation that's coming up, seeing exactly the development of how to restructure, reorganize, mm-hmm. and essentially reamp. I don't know what the word is, but I can't think of the word. I can't speak today. That's just facts. Of just kind of reorganizing the entire structure of a church. You know, my dad's been in this for going on 18, 19 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you know, and
Y'all seen some stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean,
gone through stuff.
I think I was in 3rd grade when he started the ministry. graduated, got married, have two daughters, and we're still in there, still going. And there have been laps.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I blew off a full ride scholarship to ACU because of
ACU.
Yeah, Arizona Christian University.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, dude. Man. You know, it's still going.
What they give you a scholarship for?
Christian Ministries, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Full ride. And I blew it away for being dumb.
What you do?
Reckless. We'll get into that later on. You know what I'm saying? That's another topic for another story. But that's just, that's who we are.
Yeah.
That's who we are, and we're not perfect. I mean, who's dumb enough to blow a full ride scholarship?
You, for sure.
And not having a great GPA in high school. I wasn't even numbered on my class rank. You know what I mean? Like,
damn.
That just tells you. And we went to the same high school. That's crazy.
Did. Well,
you graduated.
Fair, I graduated elsewhere. I also went to about half the schools in Arizona. I went to like legit. If I count them, it's like 14 schools total.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I basically moved every year. But what I liked about the fact that I moved every year is that I'm forced to be able to constantly be talking to different people, and I have to change kind of like the type of person that I am, because I could have just been silent and be in the back of the class every year, not talk to anybody, don't have any friends. But as you know, you've known me forever. I've always been the outspoken person. I've always been
the loud one.
Loud, dude. I'm turned up. Like I'm
be honest with you. I'm kind of offended that your mic works better than mine. They're brand new too.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I have to have mine kind of distance out because you can hear my breathing.
Again,
that's just but
it's God's plan. He wanted my voice to be up there, and that's why I'm outspoken. He wanted me to be in the position that I'm in now. Like all of this is for a reason,
right?
Since what I've gone,
and it's crazy. You're only 25 years old.
25, dude. I've struggled a lot. I've gone through a lot. But like you said earlier, is we go through all of this to be able to be fortified and understand who God is in our lives.
And being mature.
And what?
Being mature.
Being mature, yeah.
Because, I mean, if you don't have that spiritual maturity, if you don't have the maturity to be able to understand your seasons in your life, you're going to be stuck in the same spot. It's not for us. I guess for those of us that need to be baby fed, this is kind of what the podcast is for. Yeah. Again, but also, we're trying to be like those. Like we're trying to bring the culture in. We're trying to be borderline.
Yeah, a little bit of both. We're gonna be hanging out. It's gonna be, but it's primarily, obviously, everything is topic on base with God. But again, we're gonna be talking
having
about
biblical background. Let's just make that clear.
Again, the whole thing.
Yeah, and we're gonna expand on verses that are given out to today's society and given out to people, post them and repost them and share them and things like that. But understanding concepts, and context and pretext to be able to understand why those things were said,
right? Because
people just take Bible verses from the Bible and don't understand the reasoning behind why it was said.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what we're going to lead on to.
Yeah. And I'd like to give some people some examples of things that me and you have or you and I have discussed, is like, for example, like the Doja Cat situation with everything that she's ongoing, Beyonce, Jay-Z, etc. Those are a few topics. Pop culture, just going over that kind of stuff, like things that are kind of current.
The influencers events, into today's society.
And everything. They touch base on everything. Like literally Satan and his domain have, I think, a hand in everything, unfortunately, more than we do.
And that's scary.
And that's not right. It shouldn't be that way. Our voice should be out there. And why do you think me and you, like honestly, we've been struggling to get to this point? And I told you, and I remember we were praying when I was talking, and I was like, I've had visions and things like that I feel like he's trying to prevent us to be able to get to this position.
To today,
bro. But this is God's plan, and we're here to do exactly what he wanted us to do.
Right.
And now this is going to cause our fruits. We're going to see fruits from this. We're going to see people that are going to be coming to Christ from this.
We're going to have people on the podcast that are guests who have gone through similar situations. You know, it's crazy. We're working on this this project for December, and I was having a conversation with them on Wednesday. I had a little meeting with them, and literally we were just talking conversations that we get into, right? And just friendly conversations that lead us into, not necessarily lead us into, oh, we're going to talk Bible this, Bible that. No, it's just life conversations. Identical. When I tell you identical, it's like mirror to mirror.
Yeah.
And it's friendships that I've grown to love, and they're going to be seeing the podcast.
Yeah. They better.
Yeah. You know, people who I've grown to love because they've let me know what I need to hear.
Yeah.
And what they told me on Wednesday, it prepared me for what happened to me yesterday. Crazy.
What happened? What?
Crazy. With the whole my whole payroll check, you know?
Oh, yeah.
We were just talking, we're not talking like spiritual finances or nothing like that. It was mainly like, you got to be obedient to God and give God what is his. If not, stuff's going to happen. And I got hit. I got hit with $87, 25 cents. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. Yeah. But I think what we're going to go ahead and do is, at this point, we're going to be talking about, I guess we're going to start touching base on one of our topics, in which we'll talk about, which I guess to transition into it, I got a question for you, because we've been talking about, what are some of the things that we're going to be going into. So my question to you is, since we are for the culture, right? We're trying to bring kingdom culture to the world and be able to enhance what God has given to us as a gift, and now this platform. Can we talk about how accepting we are with sin, and not just in the society, but within the church?
Yeah, we can get into that right now. Let's just take a break.
Before we go over
it's going to be a little extensive. It's going to be like another 3 hours. I think Sprouts said that we had to record for about 5 hours.
Sprouts?
Yeah.
Is that true, Sprouts?
He said about 5 hours. So
he said he don't make enough money for 5 hours. And it is what it is. We'll come back. We're gonna hit a little break, and then we'll
touch base on that.
Yeah, we'll go over it. But I guess we'll go over with our sponsor for today's video, and pull them up.
Yo, guys, so we don't have any sponsors, but yeah, we're here in the heart of downtown Phoenix, just, vibing it.
We appreciate you guys. Obviously this is our first podcast, but we appreciate everybody that is watching. We pray that everybody else is able to get blessed through this. Follow us on all social platforms, and make sure you guys share. That way everybody else can not just be stripped of their blessings as well. Thank you, guys.
And let's get back into the podcast.
Welcome back, guys. Obviously, our sponsor is kind of deficient in funds, and but
I just want to say something real quick. Hold on. We went to go to our.
You cut off my monologue, but
our sponsors.
Yeah.
But in the middle of our sponsors, I was kind of reprimanded for touching my mic.
Who did that though?
Sprouts.
It's
like I had a spill in aisle 8.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm trying to touch my mic. I'm not trying to touch my mic. Yeah. It's pretty hard right now. It's the first pod.
Why are you struggling with a microphone?
I got no idea. Because I typically hold the mic here when I'm preaching,
You preach maybe like twice in your life. I don't.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah. My parents say it all the time too. You need to preach. You haven't preached in a while.
Well,
but talking about that, let's kind of go back into what you asked me.
And then to rephrase again, talking about how accepting our culture or society is today, and especially even in the church, how accepting we are to sin. Like everybody and everything, I feel like sin is based off of, or we kind of just try to like play off and get comfortable with certain aspects of the Bible, or like do little things that we find like, I'm not going to do this, or like we listen to secular music, and that's one thing that we don't let go. or I'm cool with cussing all the time.
Well, let's break it down a little bit. Let's break it down. Borderline sin and grace.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, borderline sin and grace. Let's kind of. I don't want to get too into it. It is the first part, and I want to. It's going to take us maybe a part or two to.
Yeah. Well, it's an introductory episode anyway, right?
Right. So when we're talking about borderline sin and grace,
yeah,
what is sin?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah. What is sin?
Sin. I guess in some cases it can be like a direct disobedience to God, not following, command and will, His command or will.
Sin is premature.
Is what?
Premature.
In what sense?
Meaning you think of it first and then you do it. So you kind of double sin at it.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, if it processes through your mind and you've already done it mentally,
yeah,
that's sin number one. Sin number two is you physically doing it, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, it's kind of to my experience. And let me speak experience wise. I play in the worship, right? I preach at church.
Yeah.
But there was a time where I had the weakness to the music, right? I would be listening. Let's get real here.
Shout them out. Shout them out.
Yeah. The
shout out
Un
Bad
Verano
Bunny.
Sin Ti, the Bad Bunny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shout out. J Balvin.
Yes, and I that was my music right there. That was the music.
Honest. You twerked.
I didn't twerk.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
But I say el pegueo, you know what I'm saying? El fuego, you know what I mean? At the gym, especially at the gym, you're right. You're lifting weights, right? You're cranking a pump, right?
Yeah, you clearly don't run. You lift weights for sure.
Right, exactly. I didn't do too much cardio, you know.
Man, I see that. Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't do too much cardio. I did more squats, more heavy lifting, you know. But when you're Eminem drops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you have Linkin Park playing.
Wow, you're white, dude.
You know what I mean?
That's
playing
crazy.
as you're lifting.
Yeah.
Come on. Right? But to be able to listen to that type of music, and let's not get carried away with the funny thoughts. But to come back to playing in the worship band.
Okay.
Listening to that music.
Yeah.
And then coming back to worship. So we're technically serving two gods, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just music.
Yeah. Because
within that comes the other things that you're opening doors to, right? I'm not saying music was created to worship one God, right? And when that creation disobeyed its only purpose for. That's what caused everything else to kind of get discombobulated in heaven. And we're talking about Lucifer.
Yeah.
Lucifer was created to worship. Right? Mm-hmm. Along with that, obviously, he was cast out of heaven.
Right.
And with that came all the additional things that we now face in today.
Right.
Meaning the sexually immoralities, right? The expansion of the violence that's been happening. Mm-hmm. The mental battles that people have on today, who forcefully are tied down to a pill to be able to function on their day-to-day basis.
Hello, that's somebody, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Music, to me, music is so powerful in its message that it's trying to across, right? If you look at the lead singer for Linkin Park, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to get into like any controversies or anything like that, but he committed suicide, you know. We hear many stories of lead singers who go into this depression, and get into this world where they're crying out for help, and in reality, there's only one help that they really need. And that, to me, getting into a position of borderline sin and borderline grace, meaning that you're playing with God's grace and God's mercy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if we're talking about the church today, and the the church environment that we live in today, nobody can say to me 100% that they're 100% pure while they're up there. That's just a lie. That's a lie. Because let's say you're driving to church. Yeah. Somebody cuts you off. Yeah. Your first initial reaction. Yeah. What is it?
Get off the car, beat them up. Yeah.
Hung at them, and sometimes God has to take your hung out. Yeah.
Curse them out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Throw a west side.
And there you go. You already sinned. Yeah. Example number 2, right? You're driving to church, driving to an event. You know, somebody crosses through your car or your windshield, and you just start glaring, and you just start turning your head as she's walking away, or as he's walking away. You know what I mean? Like we're so vulnerable to sin.
Heck yeah, this flesh wants it, dude.
Right? Yeah. And I remember I heard this in a podcast with The Basement. Okay. Tim Ross.
Shout out Pastor Tim Ross.
Right. And the only way to overcome your weaknesses is to feed the Spirit. Because once you feed the Spirit, it allows you to be able to control the flesh, to be able to have that self-will to resist. And that's what the Bible says, resist the enemy, and he will flee from you. Resist. The key word is resist. It's not saying it's never going to come at you. Yeah. Resisting meaning standing strong. Yeah. No matter what the current is, no matter what situation you're going through, right. Resisting, and he will flee from you. Right. But if we look at that verse, and if we expand a little bit, God's giving you a command, a direction. It's telling you resist. Right. And then he's telling you what's coming after the come on. the direction, the command. He's telling you, and what is that? When you follow something, what is that? Right? Like if I'm talking to my 6-year-old, right? If the teacher tells you to listen, what are you gonna do? She tells me, listen, Daddy, right? She's obeying the command. Okay. So when we obey the command, and this is exactly what they told me on Wednesday. They said, if you start to learn how to obey God and put into practice your obedience, everything else comes to flow. And I think I don't want to expand too much because I don't want to get into too much depth, because I want to really dissect and really expand on borderline sin and grace. You know, and it's such to me, it's such a powerful episode that we are essentially, once we release these, I mean, we're going to have probably more testimonies that are going to happen to us. Yeah. But I think with what I've lived the past couple of weeks, right. And my wife tells me all the time, you ask God to help you in certain situations. You promised God that you were going to be more faithful in His prayer, and you know that feeding your flesh is going to help you overcome your temptation. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I took a pact within myself. I want to say a couple months ago. I think when I really started to come back into the purpose and the calling of God. And I said to myself, God, I think one of my biggest weaknesses is the music. It's listening to the new albums. And I tell you, I can show you screenshots of my Spotify at the end of the year. What is your number one album? I had Farruko on my top playlist, top person that I always listen to.
What the heck, dude?
And you know what God started doing? He said, whoever you used to listen to is coming to my feet. So the number one person who I used to listen to gave his life to Christ.
That's awesome.
And it was so impactful when the whole controversy of his concerts and everything, because to me, it was like, how are you going to have someone who's at the top? And this, we're talking when he taken out the song Pepas, and he's at the top of the charts. He's a number one billboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's up there.
And to have a sold out tour completely, and take 15 minutes of his concert to call and make the call of salvation to anybody who was out there listening.
Dude, I got
That's
chills.
courage.
Chills.
And you know what? That's exactly what I want to get into as far as borderline sin and grace. Because when you get into that position, everything that you've done, everything that you've experienced in life will allow you to use it as a testimony to the non-believers out there. And I think that's where I kind of want to leave it, because I think God is going to take control of that episode. God's going to take control of how we start going into that highway of borderline sin and grace, and let God be the one who really expands on this without any doubt.
100%.
Any doubt on what we're saying.
Yeah. I think, as obviously we're going to expand on it on the next episode, but I think it's bringing a death to the church, to the spirit. Like, not even just like to our spirits as members of in the body of Christ, but you're bringing and completely letting go of the spirit completely, and we start falling on simply theology or feeling, and we start going based off of emotion based rather than spirit based. And you start kicking out the Holy Spirit when you start bringing in your own ideologies and the things that you want, the things that you desire. And when you live on that borderline, I don't know anybody that lives on the border of Arizona and Mexico and shouts out where they live from. You know, like, I was raised on the border, and ain't nobody, you know,
because you're crossing.
Ain't nobody want that. Nobody want to live in the bums and the slums and the streets. Nobody. You're calling out the highest point of where you're at. And when you're not living that in spirit and in truth,
right,
that's what's causing our death in the church.
So, you know what? For all those listening today and watching today, please continue to tune in, subscribe,
follow up,
right? Follow. Hit us a follow button on the IG, on the Shower Talk IG, and just continue going with us on this journey. It's the first one of many. I think we were just discussing if we're going to do season. That's at let's roll with it. 1,000 episodes in a year.
1,000 in one.
Hey, I'm just, like LeBron James. He said, I'm going to bring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he only got 2 rings, I think, in Miami.
Hey, don't disrespect.
But you know what? We want to thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
And we want to continue, guys, we want to give you guys thanks. Please don't hesitate. We're going to put our information, our IGs. If you guys want to shoot us a DM, we're always here to talk to you guys. There's always somebody listening, and there's always somebody going to be there for you.
100%. Especially when we involve Christ. Everything else is going to fall through on it. So thank you, guys. We appreciate you. And we'll follow up on episode 2.
Deuces.